Yo, what is up, fam? It's your boy Legend, and I am back with another video. You already know what this is just by looking at the thumbnail. Now I'm just playing. I don't even know what video that I'm about to upload simply because I have a multitude that I could upload right now. So I'm just gonna go in and I'm just gonna pick a random one. But you know what this is by looking at the thumbnail. I'm not gonna say the name because, like I said, I don't know. But yeah, without further ado, let's just get into this intro so we can start this. What if?
Give me space, I'm protective. My adrenaline spikes when I'm threatened. And if you stay in my way, I'm aggressive. Cause when there's no exit, I'll kill when I'm desperate.
The night air was heavy with the scent of ozone and blood, thick and clinging like dew to the rooftops of Kumo. Darkness stretched over the village like a shroud, broken only by the occasional flicker of lanterns below and the faint glow of moonlight overhead. The rooftops, slanted, tiled, and treacherous, were silent now, save for the ragged breathing of one woman lying flat on her back. Mikoto Uchiha's chest rose and fell in shallow, frantic gasp. Her katana lay beside her, slick with blood, its steel reflecting the pale shimmer of the moon. Her hair was a tangled mess of midnight strands clinging to her flushed skin, and her limbs trembled from the effort it had taken to survive the last 5 minutes. Her eyes, dark and sharp even in fatigue, remained locked on the twitching corpse a few meters away. The man who had come out of nowhere, silent as smoke and brutal as lightning, had died gruesomely. His skin had turned blotched and pale. His veins went dark like ink beneath the surface after the viper bit him. He had taken 5 uncertain steps, eyes wide with dawning horror, before collapsing face first onto the tiles of the hard, dull roof with a thud. There he lay, still, mouth frozen in a gurgled scream. Naruto crouched beside Mikoto now, one hand on her shoulder, the other brushing sweat-drenched strands of hair from her forehead. His eyes, usually bright and boyish, even when serious, were now narrow and calculating in the low light. "You okay?" he asked, his voice low and calm, but his gaze flickered over her arms and torso, checking for hidden wounds. "I'm fine," Mikoto breathed through her voice, cracked slightly. He almost had me." Naruto gave a soft grunt in acknowledgement. Then, with a fluid and almost imperceptible motion, he lifted his arm and allowed the small emerald-scaled viper to slither from the shadows of the rooftop and up into the sleeve of his uniform, Arakan, the familiar hiss once before coiling contentedly around her master's forearm and disappearing into the folds of the dark fabric. Mikoto sat up with some effort, and Naruto reached out to steady her. But before he could step back, Mikoto moved forward and wrapped her arms around him. It wasn't the stiff, formal embrace of a comrade. It was warmer than that, grateful, a bit too long. Naruto stiffened, caught completely off guard. His arms frozen at his sides, his face reddened instantly, heat rushing to his ears and cheeks. He swallowed hard, unsure whether to return the gesture or stay perfectly still like a frightened animal caught in the open. Kushina stood nearby, her back straight and arms crossed, the moonlight making her black and crimson hair shimmer like a blade. Her violet eyes looked on at the hug, then on to Naruto's helpless reaction. Her jaw clenched. She knew it was foolish to feel jealous of Mikoto. She had nearly died just now. This wasn't the time, but it was there, bubbling quietly beneath the surface. She told herself it was irritation at Naruto for freezing up, at Mikoto for being too forward, at herself for feeling anything at all. Get her up, she said flatly, turning her head as though the moment hadn't unsettled her. We can't linger. Someone might have heard the fighting. Naruto gently helped Mikoto to her feet, still pink in the face, and nodded. Right, let's move. The three of them vanished into the shadows, the dead man left behind as nothing more than a cautionary stain in the night. The trek back to their rented room was tense and silent. They slipped through Kumo's back alleys like wraiths, skirting the lantern lit paths and merchant carts, bending into the shadows between bathhouses and shuttered tea shops. No one paid them any mind, just three travelers returning late from a festival, perhaps. That was the cover, anyway. Civilians, tourists, harmless. But beneath their borrowed cloaks and the smell of blood still clung to Mikoto's skin. Their rented room sat above a tailor shop, cramped and dimly lit. A paper lantern glowed faintly in the corner, casting warm orange shadows over the tatami mats. The walls were thin, and the floor creaked in protest beneath Naruto's boots as he helped Mikoto settle onto the floor near the futon. You should have said something sooner, he muttered, kneeling beside her. His voice was low but not unkind. You're still bleeding. I didn't want to slow us down, Mikoto replied through gritted teeth. Her pride stung almost as much as the gas running across her side. The adrenaline had faded, leaving the pain behind like fire along her nerves. She winced as she peeled back the bloodied fabric of her borrowed yukata. Naruto clicked his tongue and reached into a small pouch sewn directly inside his vest. He pulled out a wrapped cloth bundle, sterile gauze, chakra-infused salve, and a roll of bandages, and a needle and thread set. Lift your arm, he said. His fingers brushed lightly against her skin, and despite the pain, Mikoto tensed more from the closeness than the touch. The room was too quiet, the air too warm. Naruto dipped 2 fingers into the salve, a thick green ointment that smelled faintly of pine and crushed mint leaves, and gently spread it along the wounds. Mikoto hissed, but didn't pull away. His hands were sure, his motions careful. You've done this before, she said softly, watching his face. Too many times, Naruto replied, not looking at her. The door slid open behind them with a soft wooden sigh. Kushina stepped inside, her once dyed black hair now red, a wild curtain over her shoulders. Her violet eyes narrowed as they took in the scene. Her gaze locked on Naruto first, then dropped to Mikoto's bare side and the bloodied rag Naruto was holding. Her expression didn't change, but something sharpened behind her eyes. How bad is it? She asked. Her tone clicked, formal. Deep, but clean, Naruto replied without glancing up. He missed anything vital. She'll heal within a few days. Rest and chakra support. I would have handled it myself, Mikoto muttered, more to Kushina than to Naruto. Kushina stepped further into the room and folded her arms. Would've, but didn't. Mikoto's eyes narrowed faintly, but she said nothing more. Remember, guys, Kushina and Mikoto did have a falling out about 2 or 3 chapters ago over Naruto. Naruto felt the weight in the air, shift, tightening, stretching thin between them like a drawn wire. He finished applying the bandage and gently tied it off. All done, he said quietly. Try not to twist too much. Mikoto nodded, her expression unreadable. Thank you. Naruto stood and finally looked at Kushina. Her jaw was tight. Her arms were still crossed, the sleeves of her robe drawn high enough to show the pale scars on her forearms. Old ones, long healed. But tonight They looked fresh somehow. I'm going to check the perimeter, she said. See if anyone's sniffing around the building. We can't afford any more surprises. Naruto opened his mouth to speak, but Kushina had already turned, the door sliding shut behind her with a quiet snap. For a long time, the room was still. Then Mikoto exhaled slowly and leaned back against the wall. She's angry. She's worried, Naruto said quietly, but he didn't sound convinced. Outside, the paper walls trembled slightly as the wind shifted, carrying with it the faintest scent of ozone. Somewhere in Kumo, the storm was still coming. The night air was still thick with tension. It had only been a few minutes since Naruto finished bandaging Mikoto's wounds. Her breathing had settled, and a faint sheen of sweat glistened on her forehead as she lay quietly on the futon. The oil lamp on the dresser cast long, flickering shadows across the room, dancing over Naruto's hardened expression as he slipped out the door and into the narrow hallway. Outside, the chill of the late hour greeted him with a whisper. The streets beyond the inn were silent, too silent, and even the wind seemed to hold its breath. He stepped down from the wooden veranda, eyes scanning the shadows as a familiar presence emerged from the corner of the building. Kushina was already waiting. Her long red hair was tied up a headscarf, and her kimono was that of a common traveler, but the sharpness in her eyes said otherwise. Naruto reached into his coat and tossed a small kunai pouch at her. She caught it with practiced reflex. Put it on, Naruto said, his voice low, under the disguise, just in case. Kushina didn't question him. She turned her back and strapped the pouch on her thigh, beneath the hem of her robes. What are we doing? Naruto glanced toward the dim street lights ahead. Now's the perfect time to search for the weapons. Whoever's running this operation, they're smart. So we move while the town sleeps. Together they set off into the streets, walking like civilians would, leisurely, without urgency, side by side like a couple out for a midnight stroll. But beneath the calm facade, both of them were razor focused. Every shadow, alley, every silent window above, every closed shop front, they watched it all. Minutes passed before they reached an unassuming stone building near the edge of the district. A museum, plain and aged, its wood carved sign barely visible in the darkness. The gate creaked as Naruto pushed it open. Kushina arched an eyebrow. A museum? She whispered. You're hoping to find weapons in a gallery? All museums have basements, Naruto said, already working the lock with a flick of chakra. Perfect place to store things you don't want the public to see. The door slid open silently, and they slipped inside. The air was dry and stale, filled with the scent of old parchment and lacquered wood. Dim emergency lights cast a faint amber glow over glass cases filled with ancient scrolls, statues, and forgotten history. Naruto moved swiftly, leading Kushina past the exhibits to the rear hallway, where a door marked staff only stood slightly ajar. A spiral staircase descended into the shadows. They descended without a word. The lower level was quiet. Too quiet. The room was long, filled with old crates, rusted armor stands, and cobwebbed relics. Naruto frowned. Nothing. Kushina crossed her arms, irritated. We risked exposure for this? But then her gaze drifted to the far side of the room, where her foot tapped against the floor and a hollow echo answered. She crouched, placing her ear to the ground. "Here," she whispered. "It's hollow." Naruto joined her. Together, they pried open the wooden panels, revealing a hidden storage cache beneath. What they saw stole their breath. Dozens of gleaming and untouched lay beneath the floorboards, katanas with curved, razor-sharp edges, spears with barbed tips, bladed whips coiled like serpents. Each weapon shimmered faintly under the ambient light, their dark steel reflecting a blue sheen. Naruto reached in and picked up a short blade. The metal felt unnaturally light, but incredibly dense. He pulsed a small stream of chakra into it, and the weapon absorbed it effortlessly, the blade glowing faintly. "Adamantium," he muttered. "Snow and Iron Country's rarest export. Strongest metal in the world." Kushina's eyes widened. "It's not supposed to be allowed outside the 5 nations. Someone's been smuggling that." Naruto was already unrolling a sealing scroll, his fingers working fast. "I'm taking samples. If this town's stockpiling them, we need something. Proof. And we can't risk leaving all of this behind." "But we can't destroy them," Kushina said softly. "Mikoto is too injured. If things go loud, she won't be able to run." Naruto nodded grimly. After sealing a dozen or so weapons into the scroll, they carefully reset the floorboards, ensuring not a single trace of their intrusion remained. Within moments, the basement looked untouched, at least as untouched as a basement could look, with dust everywhere. They slid back into the night, as silently as they had come. Their faces blank, steps calm, the perfect image of travelers enjoying the cool air. But beneath their calm exteriors, the truth had become clear. They had just stumbled upon the armory. Back at the inn, Naruto slid the scroll into his travel bag and sat beside Mikoto's bed. Kushina leaned against the wall, arms folded. "This town's more dangerous than we thought," she said. Naruto didn't answer right away. He simply stared at Mikoto, then at the sealed scroll. "We'll move soon," he whispered. "But when we do, we burn the place to the ground." The storm had arrived in full. Rain hammered the rooftops with relentless rhythm, drowning the village in a cold, gray haze. Thunder cracked above like a war god's roar, and the streets of Kumo had turned into winding streams of thick brown mud. What few people braved the weather did so with hoods pulled over low and shoulders hunched. The rest remained shuttered indoors, whispering about rumors of lockdowns and spies. Naruto and Kushina were already soaked to the skin by the time they burst into the small inn, their boots slamming the wooden floor and splattering mud across the foyer. The old man at the front desk jolted in surprise but didn't have time to speak. Naruto gave him a quick, silent glare, and Kushina swept past without looking back. Upstairs, the room was dim. The storm's glow filtered weakly through thin curtains. Mikoto lay half awake on her futon, one leg still stiff and wrapped from the wound she'd taken the night before. A sword rested beside the bed, and half her buttoned blouse clung to her as she struggled to sit up. They crashed into the room like lightning itself. "Mikoto!" Kushina hissed, slamming the door shut behind them. "Get up! Now!" Naruto was already moving towards her, helping her sit up as he tossed her cloak and bag onto the bed. "We've been soft compromised. We have to leave right now." Mikoto blinked groggily, then narrowed her eyes. "What happened?" Naruto's tone was flat and urgent. The rooftop body from last night. It was found. Someone must have reported it to the guards. The third Raikage locked down the entire village an hour ago. No one goes in, no one goes out. They're looking for infiltrators, Kushina added. She was pacing now, her voice tight with frustration. We left footprints near the weapons stash. The dust on the floor wasn't disturbed before years, and now there are 2 pairs of footprints walking right up to the cache and back out. Kushina pulled her pants on with a wince. I thought you swept the trail. We tried, Naruto said, but it's hard to make dust look untouched. And the venom from last night, Kushina muttered, already checking her gear. They'll realize the man who died was poisoned, but not by anything native. No snakes live in this region. That kind of toxin doesn't belong in lightning country. Even an idiot can put that together. Mikoto's face paled. So, they're going to start sweeping the ends. Naruto nodded grimly. Every guest list, every merchant and visitor's pass, the whole village is under surveillance. Within a few hours, we won't be able to take a step without someone noticing. And now the rain's making things worse, Kushina added. It's turning everything to mud. Every step we take inside leaves a trail behind us. Even a civilian could follow it. I mapped a possible exit, Naruto said quickly. Storm drains under the merchant sector. They haven't been cleaned in years. But they may connect the river cliffs to the western side. It's filthy, tight, and dangerous, but it's the only way we avoid patrols. Mikoto was already strapping her sword to her back, her limp more manageable now that the adrenaline was surging. Do we have everything? I've got the scrolls, Kushina confirmed. Sealed and waterproof, and the weapons cache blueprints are inside. We leave in 2 minutes, Naruto said. No steps, no hesitation. We either move now or we get caught. Lightning exploded overhead, making the wooden walls tremble. The wind howled through the cracks in the window, as if the storm itself was warning them. The Raikage was hunting ghosts, and they had to vanish before the shadows swallowed them whole. But guys, I'm going to end it off right here. If you guys enjoyed the video, make sure you hit that like button. Subscribe while you're at it. But without further ado, I am out, and I will see you guys in the next video. Stay blessed, y'all. Also, I may or may not drop another video tonight. So, if I do, stay tuned.